few years back, you had the privilege of seeing Maria Corte in person. It is not Cortez, it is not Corte, it is Maria Corte. So she's got a great session for us today. A little bit about Maria. She's been teaching at Mesa High School for 28 years and has taught at Arizona State University for 8 years. She's a PE consultant with Corte PE Consulting, as well as with Gopher Sport. While teaching and being department chair at Mesa High School, Maria has coached varsity volleyball, track, cheerleading, soccer, and elite fitness. And she's also one of the strength and conditioning coaches at her high school. Maria was named the 2014 Shape America High School Physical Education Teacher of the Year. And in 2005, she received the Shape Southwest District High School Physical Education Teacher of the Year Award. She has 2 boys. They both attend Arizona State, and she loves mountain biking in her spare time. So she's a CMSPEW alum. We're hopefully we could talk to her and get her to come for our in-person workshop next year would be awesome. She's professional, passionate, fun. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Maria Corte.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you so much, Scott, for that introduction. I think the part that gets me more freaked out is that I have 2 boys in college. Every time I hear that, I'm like, I think of financially what that's doing to me. So anyway, thank you guys all for coming here. I know it's it always just inspires me that teachers are willing to do this on their summer and log in when we're not even back to school yet. Because the closer we get back to school, we get a little bit in denial, like, no, I'm not ready. Or sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, I can only watch so much Netflix. It's time for me to go back. But I'm happy to see everybody. And I'm really happy to present for California middle school folks. You guys, I was there 2 years ago, and I know it's hard to believe that was 2 years ago already. I think this pandemic was like a gap year of denial. But I had such a great time there. You folks are amongst the best that I've ever presented for. And when Scott asked me to do this virtual presentation, I didn't even blink an eye. I replied right back within like 3 seconds and said, absolutely, you guys are fantastic. So thank you for being teachers. Thank you for your willingness to keep learning and keep on trucking through this pandemic. It's been a doozy. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about is, I want to give Lindsay, I think it was Lindsay that came up with the theme, right? Yep. And the theme, I got to look at my notes, refocus, reflect, refocus, reboot. I don't have it in front of me. See, that's how much I memorized it. And I love that so much because I was telling Scott, I turned in my title for this session, Back to the Future, looking back at where we were and then looking forward to where we need to go. So it completely aligns with what you guys are thinking that is important for our teachers to know. And we absolutely have to take a time out and look back. What happened? Where were we? How did we used to teach? Sometimes I don't even think I can remember how I used to teach before the pandemic. And then take a look at during the pandemic, and then let's take a look moving forward where we need to be. Because as we all know, it's not going to get back to complete normalcy the way we knew it before the pandemic. So, but we're getting there. So anyway, that's exciting. And Back to the Future, another fun fact that Nadine told me was that Back to the Future was filmed at her high school while she was in high school. And that's incredible to know that. What an iconic movie. So I'm really excited about that. And that's actually Back to the Future is the theme for back to school for my high school here in Arizona. So I think we're all on the same page. We've all gone through the same thing, teachers all over the world, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. It's not an us thing. It's not a middle school thing. It's all over. And let's get through it together like we do everything else. And that's why these presentations and these workshops are so valuable. So thank you again for being here. So am I ready to take off my pros? We ready to start? Okay, I got a thumbs up from Nadine. I love those things she has. I would make sure that every one of my students had those. I wish I could go back in time. All right, so let me share my screen and we'll get this party started here. There it is. And there it is. And I was telling these guys, you know, we were all pros with this technology, but now I'm rusty. We did WebEx teaching all last year. I did WebEx, so Zoom, I'm a little rusty, but it looks like everything's a go. So they've already talked enough about me. You don't need to hear more about me, but I have been at Mesa High School for 28 years. The same high school. I went to Arizona State University and I did my first interview at Mesa High and I got hired and I thought it would just be a starting point and I'd move on. But as you guys know, you blink and a decade goes by and then 2 decades. So I absolutely love my high school. There's my info for my email. If you want to shoot me any questions or have anything you want to share, go ahead. I'm on Twitter and I post a lot of video of what I teach at my high school on Twitter. Once school starts, I do a Friday fitness film, and that's where I just post every Friday some different things that we're doing over there if you have interest. And then I also have a YouTube channel. Just put in Maria Corte and I think you'll find me. I do a lot with Elite Fitness, and if you put in Mesa High Elite Fitness, you'll see a lot of the things that we're doing with that advanced class in there. So I put on there on my cover page, reflect, refocus, reboot, because I think that's fantastic. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get started. So Back to the Future was my thing. And it's the same thing that they're talking about. Let's look back where we were before the pandemic. Let's look back last year, all the things that we did. And then the second half of my presentation is where are we going moving forward? So do you even remember these days? We had lots of equipment, lots of engagement, people right next to each other. Look at those people on the parachute. I mean, it's kind of strange to even look at these images because it seems so long ago that we were able to teach in this manner. But hopefully we can get back to this soon. So we were teaching what we teach. I was there 2 years ago and watching that video that those guys put together at the beginning while you were waiting to get into this meeting, it just really made me so excited and happy to see everybody running and moving and laughing and touching each other. And it kind of makes me a little bit sad too, that, you know, God, I'm having a hard time remembering when we got to do that. And will we ever get to do that again? I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that we will. But we were teaching in that manner. And then all of a sudden, this creepy guy that we see on the news all the time, COVID hit, and we're still expected to teach PE. So I'm going to go through what happened to me. I'm sure the same thing happened to you, but we were expected to still teach PE when this hit. And then they said, well, you got to teach PE, but you can't really teach PE because in our district, it was called no sweat PE, whatever that means. So we can't dress out, we can't use equipment, and we can't make them sweat, but we still are expected to teach PE. And then we had to figure out how we're going to teach these kiddos from home on a laptop. I don't know about you, but I'm old school. I graduated high school in '85, so I'm not too well versed in technology. Then we had to use a laptop and figure out how we're going to teach for home. Then we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to teach with masks on, with us, with our students, all while teaching PE, but no sweat PE on a laptop. And then we had this constant worry with COVID leering behind us for our safety. I mean, I was nervous going into the front lines. I was worried for our students because as teachers, our number one thing is the well-being of our students. Then we had to figure out how are we going to monitor the mask thing with students and ourselves? How are we going to teach them to wash hands? How are we going to teach via Zoom or WebEx? And then we had that. Then they throw in these terms, synchronous, asynchronous. These were terms that I had never even heard of before the pandemic. I was like, wait, what's async? What? And then dual modality. And then they threw in hybrid learning. I had to do it all. I had to teach strictly from home at one point. Then I had to do the asynchronous, synchronous. Then I had to do the hybrid. And I'm sure all of you are the same. And then we had the election going on last year, and we know how that was going. And then we had all the nature stuff. We had fires, as California, you are well versed in, so was Arizona. We had hurricanes and terrorism. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Then we had to I don't know, but middle school is the same as high school. We had that dilemma as a teacher. Do we pass these kids just for being there, but not really logging in because they're in a pandemic? Do we not pass them? What kind of grades do we give? What kind of expectations do we give with these Zoom meetings? So it got a little crazy. I don't know, things are moving. Oh, there we go. And then we also had to tag in the social distancing thing. And then we put this all together, and then we're still worried about COVID for ourselves and for our students. We were getting cases every single day in an email to us. You had 6 students who tested positive. You had 2 teachers. 2 of them were in your class. So we were constantly bombarded with this. So look at what we did last year. Look at this. I mean, when you actually see it in front of us, it's overwhelming. So I think what we need to do now is just stop. This is the reflection part. And it's kind of looking at a horror film, if you will. It's very scary. But we want to start taking some of these things off. We're going to stop a minute. We're going to move on and refocus. So this is a way to kind of refocus, take some of these things off our plate. And let's see where we're at right now. Bye-bye Zoom. I hope I never have to teach remotely again. That for PE, that was tough. Yes, I will be the first to admit I was on the struggle bus last year. There were days that went great. There were days where I'm actually yelling at my computer. You guys, I can't grade your ceiling fan. I can't grade what I don't see. You guys, where did you go? I had students leaving my meeting, coming back. I see family members walking back and forth. I had students cooking breakfast. It was rough. But moving forward now, I really, really think we've learned a lot from it. I think we have a new appreciation for our profession. I think the students have a new appreciation for in-person learning and respect for our teachers and respect for interaction. And they cannot wait to get back to going back to school. And I know we got this because teachers we're frontline workers like everybody else. And I do believe we got this because we always do. We are the most flexible of professions, and there's nothing we can't do. So I put together this thing that I did. I'm a department head at my school, and I do a lot of in-services for our district. And I did a workshop last summer for Maine, a virtual presentation like this. And this kind of helped me put it together of the support system that we really do have. So our instructional support, at least at my school, we have what's called PLCs, professional learning communities. I don't know if you guys do. Raise your hand. Do you have PLCs at your school? Yeah. Okay, good. So we have that as a resource. You have your PE department where you can get together and brainstorm and see, okay, what are you guys doing? What are we doing? Last year, we were kicked out of our locker room. We couldn't dress out. This year, we're allowed to dress out, but we're doing it a little different. Only 2 classes in, 2 classes out, and then we'll kind of flip-flop. But so you have your department as a resource. You got your Danielson, how to teach, the domains. And then social media. We were talking about this with the California middle school folks on the board there that, I don't know how I could have gotten through this pandemic without getting ideas and videos and things from YouTube, from Twitter, from Instagram, even Facebook. It was all about survival mode for everybody. And hats off to all these people who created videos and put them online for us to use as a resource. That is single-handedly how I got through the pandemic in regards to teaching, was borrowing these videos. And doing these types of workshops. This is another instructional support. I highly recommend go to as many of these as you can, because it's invaluable to hear from different people to see what they're doing. Even if you leave with one idea, it's valuable. And then we have to look at the SEL part. I mean, these kids took a hit. Us teachers took a hit emotionally. It was difficult and very isolated. As we move forward, we want to make sure that we're tapping into their mental health, always obviously talking about nutrition and exercise on how valuable that is. I know for a fact that my students handled this pandemic a lot better because they were logging in every day and moving around, even in their bedroom, their kitchen, their living room, outside in their backyard. Just the fact that they worked out a little bit each day, and they felt better, because depression was a real thing with my students at Mesa High. And I heard it all over the world that these teenagers had a tough go of it, not to mention us. And then our behavior support. Oh, I put a couple more in there. Get them to laugh. Oh my gosh, the best day with remote teaching is, and then even when the students came back with their masks, is getting them to laugh. It's the best medicine. I'm a huge fan of it. All right. And then helping your students, knowing the resources that they have at your school, the counselor, the school psychologist. They know they can come into your office. They can check in with you, even send an email. I'm not doing so hot. I had a few students email me, said, Coach, I'm not dealing with this at all. I need to be back at school. My parents aren't letting me. And it was rough. Some behavioral supports we have at our school. We have a PBIS system in place. I don't know if you guys have that. It's a positive behavior intervention system. We use that a lot, rewarding students doing the right thing at the right time, kind of a program. And then management. You guys know, if you saw me 2 years ago out there at Cal Fullerton, management is huge. I don't care if the students were home. I don't care if I had half the students in the gym and half at home and I'm doing this dual modality. I did management every single day because I think it's important. And one thing I realized, that students missed management. They missed the classroom with structure and the teacher telling them what the expectations are and where we're going. So keep that in mind. No matter what model you're teaching, that is always number one with me, is management. And you can do that in a positive manner. Academic support, we do a retest redo, especially during this pandemic. We were working with our 60% and below students, which was a lot. We had an all-time high percentage of failure rate at my high school during the pandemic. We usually graduate about 800 students, and we graduated just under 600. So we lost over 200 students who were on track to graduate that just didn't. To be honest with you, a lot of our students went back to work. They thought, well, you know, I'm a junior and a senior, and this isn't at all fun to do high school this way online, so I'm just going to go to work. So we lost a lot of kiddos. We're going to have a really big super senior class this year. Tutoring is huge right now, before school, after school, at lunch. I'm constantly talking to our students about the resources there. We have Link Crew, which is an ambassador program, our juniors and seniors linking onto freshmen, because our little freshmen, that's where you guys are so important. We're getting your 8th graders who, I mean, imagine an 8th grader on their own to do school. Their parents are at work, their siblings are around. A lot of our students had to babysit their siblings while trying to still maintain online learning. And our Link Crew program was huge in being a support for that. We have an AVID program that also keeps kids on track with college-bound stuff. So our mental health support, exercise again. We got to get these kiddos moving. We know how we feel when we exercise. I'm at the end of the summer. I'm ready to get back after it. Our counselors is a mental support. Encourage reaching out, having them reach out to friends, family, and us. All right. So that's your support system. And when you break it down like that, you can tell there's a lot. I mean, we have a lot of things that we can pull from. We have a lot of people who we can pull from, a lot of programs we can pull from. You just have to know what they are and you have to utilize them. Don't just think, okay, I can do this on my own. That's how I am a lot. I think I got this. I'm fine. Well, there were times last year I wasn't fine. I told you I was on the struggle bus a lot of the days. PE teachers were not cut out to teach this way remotely. It was hard. And we want our kids in the gym with equipment and moving and music and laughing. And it was all stripped away. So let's look at some of these questions here. We answered a lot of them. What did we have to change? Basically, the biggest things that we had to change was no equipment, social distancing, wearing a mask, all of that. really rocked our PE world. How did it impact the students? I don't think it was great. I don't think it was great mentally for them. I don't think they did well. It makes you realize that social interaction is very, very important in the well-being of our society. And that's what I learned. I learned that the sooner we get back to getting these kids to move, to socialize, to interact with each other, to laugh, to touch equipment, to be in the gym, to be with us, their teachers, and have structure again, I think the better off we're going to be. So that's the reflection piece, the refocus. How are we going to tweak some things based on what we reflect on to move forward successfully? There's a lot of things I'm going to keep. The fact that I was forced to learn technology was a good thing. I'm going to use a lot of it. I found some great resources with video work that I will continue to use. I learned about Canvas and how to submit lessons. So I'm going to continue to do that. I learned about how to use Remind and keep in connection and communication with my students. So those are the things that I'm going to be doing. This is not a me thing, though. I don't want to sit here and tell you what that's my pet peeve with presenters. But what I want you to do, those were just examples. How are you going to refocus? What are you going to change this year moving forward? What are you going to keep? This is your time now. We got a few weeks left. I start school August 3rd, by the way. So it's right around the corner for me. Think about it. What worked? What didn't work? Where are you at now? My school is back full-time, full bore, as if nothing happened. My district declared we're having dances, we're having football games, we're having PE again. All kids are back. They don't have an option to stay home at this point. All kids are back. My school is 3,700 students. So do I think that's going to stay? I don't know. With this Delta variant going on and seeing cases rising every day, I have no idea where we're going in August, September, October, and so forth. But at least you can think about now, what would you like your class to look like moving forward? What can we do to benefit the students and us? I think the best thing to benefit the students is making sure whatever model you are teaching in, whether it's back in person, hybrid, whatever, that you are there, you're optimistic, you are showing them hope, you are enthusiastic about them being engaged with you, and physical activity is so important. It's number one. So that's important. What new lessons, ideas should we implement? That's up to you. I am adding new things to my curriculum because I don't think, even though my district says we're back to normal, going back to the way we were, we all know that that's not true. So I'm in control of my gym and my students. So I'm going to be doing new lessons that I think will be work well, I guess, with this pandemic and social distancing and not so much equipment and sharing and breathing hard on each other. I'm thinking of ideas that I used to do. So I'm going back to my toolbox, my vault of lessons, and saying, okay, all of these are going to work well with a pandemic. These ones, probably not a good idea. And then these ones for sure, I think will work well moving forward. Okay, so that's what I want you to do, or hope that we all do as teachers in your time off when we have a little bit of sanity and free time. And then obviously rebooting. What do you need to do to reboot yourself? And you saw those slides of the COVID and social distancing and masks and the election and fires and all this stuff going on. What are you going to do in these next 2 weeks to reboot, to get yourself off on a fresh start? I know what I had to do. I took up a new hobby. They said I like mountain biking. I took up mountain biking right when the pandemic hit last spring, 2 springs ago, I guess. And it's been the best thing for me. It was something new. It got me outside. It got me exercising. It got me away from, the masses, got me out of the gym. And because I was getting kind of bored with the gym anyway. So that was my reboot, is to take on something new, keep exercising and moving, think about how you can reboot your colleagues when you get back with your students, starting out fresh. What are you going to do to get yourself excited about this school year? I'm just excited that this isn't last year. This is this year. And it is going to be bumpy, but hopefully it's not as bumpy as where we came from. All right. So that's kind of the format, the model that I think we should all be taking a look at. I'm pumped up. And do you see the Phoenix Suns? Oh, I was so excited for our Suns and they just fell a little short. I'm hoping you California people were rooting for us, but it was exciting. They did such a good. I know. I don't know what happened, but all right, let's go. I'm excited. I actually am really pumped up for this year because I think it's got to be better. I'm just hoping it's got to be better than last year. So number one thing for me is I'm looking at the time here. I'm doing good. We have got to get our students back to engaging in physical activity as soon as possible. It may not look exactly the same, but there are things that we can do. And I'm just going to do them because I think it's the best thing that these kids need is to get out there again. We need to get them socializing. We need to get them interacting with each other and obviously laughing. I know I already talked about that. We do still need to keep these things in mind. Okay. We've been teaching this forever. Forget the pandemic. As long as I've been a PE teacher, our job is to teach wellness, to teach about nutrition and exercise and getting enough sleep. But now we're going to, and washing your hands. But now we got to tack on a couple new things. You know, we need to continue to wear the mask if they have anything underlining or family members have some illnesses that are underlining illnesses. We need to keep that in mind. I'm going to continue to keep the social distancing as best that I can. Okay. When we first went back to school last year, you know, I had the poly spots and I'm like, stay away from each other. Oh my gosh. Cause there was so much we didn't know. But now that, you know, things are getting a little better with vaccines, you know, maybe we can ease up a little bit, but we still got to keep it in mind. All right. I like to kind of take, like I said before, look at all the activities that you used to do before before the pandemic, look at the activities you did during, and then what are you going to do moving forward? Some of the old stuff will work, but not all of the old stuff is going to work today. Physical activity is critical for the well-being of our students, period. I put that in there and I know you know that already. I'm preaching to the choir, but we have to keep that in mind. The best way to stay healthy, physically and mentally, is to move around. So number one, with that in mind, getting our kids moving, we still have to try to minimize the equipment handling. Okay. I mean, there were so many things I did. You guys know I love equipment and throwing and catching and sharing and grabbing each other's arms and all that. We got to just watch out a little bit for some of that. Try to maintain social distancing, use stations. If you're in the gym or you're outside, you have the ability to use as much space as you can. And that's what I'm going to really try to do, is be a little creative, plan things a little differently as far as where I'm putting stations, where I'm putting kids, how they're touching equipment, how I'm sanitizing equipment. All of that is still going to happen. And then I already talked about number 4 and 5. If masks are worn, like our students, some wear them, some don't. That's just how it is. Just make sure if you're doing some high cardio stuff, you give them mask breaks and watch out for those high cardio activities. I want to this year, one of the things that I reflected on and I refocused, and a way to reboot, is to give these students something to look forward to, give myself something to look forward to. So I created this calendar of upcoming special events. You have to give these kids hope that we're moving forward. We're back to school. There's fun things that are going to happen. There may be some things that get canceled, but we're going to create some things within PE. So like August, we have a welcome dance, welcome back dance that we're going to be having. And for my students, I have that. We do this every year. We did this before the pandemic. I have kids, if they want to opt in, it's for a contest for fun. They wear a pedometer, and whoever can show me who had the most steps, activity time, and MVPA time on their pedometer from the dance because they're moving and dancing and all of that is good PA. We have prizes and stuff, and it's just silly and fun. In October or September, we have our homecoming parade and carnival. All of that was canceled last year. I'm hoping that that's back on. October, Halloween horror games. I do a thing with Hunger Games with a noodle. I don't know if we played Hunger Games at Cal Fullerton 2 years ago, but it is really, really fun. So anyway, I'm not going to go through each one of these. You can take a look at it. But I think the point here is give them something to look forward to. Let them know that you're excited about the school year. You're excited about doing some special fun things throughout the school year, in at least in PE class, okay? Regardless of what's going on with the school. All right, so that's that. There you go. So back to the future. I like this theme because we're looking back and moving forward into the future. This was some of the things, and one of the guys, I forgot who it was, he used this activity. I found so many cool videos on YouTube, and this was one that we did. And this gives you a peek to how I taught last year. So I had the screen. There's the students who didn't dress out. They had masks. I had the projector. My laptop is there. And the students who are at home, because I had to teach from home, there they are up there. I had to teach from home and teach live at the same time. I'm sure a lot of you had to do the same thing. So what I wanted to do is whatever I was teaching the kids at home, I wanted the students there in person to be doing the same lesson at the same time. And that's how I got through it. And there was a lot of videos that I used from YouTube that were fantastic. As I was saying, you can only do so many body weight exercises before you start to get bored. I mean, how do we like doing those? Not very often. So moving forward, some of the activities that I said, there were things that I did before the pandemic that are going to work really well. This is one of them, like just using the lines of the floor. This is a Tabata program. You could download on Apple Music or Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever you use. Get the kids away from each other using lines. This is a clip before the pandemic. So moving forward, I could use, look at how close they are. I don't need to have them that close. I could spread them all out. So this is one thing I'll be doing. Have fun with them. You got your gym, you got your field, you got your space. Use it, get them moving. This will work well, getting them spaced out. Let this play a little bit, give you some ideas. If you think about all the different things you can do with a line, it's a lot. If we had a contest right now, who can come up with 10 things to do with a line, I bet you would all do it like that. Tons of stuff you can do. No equipment, so their hands aren't touching anything. They're not sharing anything. A minute. All right, so that's an idea. And okay, so these are my two boys. I remember I brought them a couple years ago. They're at ASU. I did this thing during the pandemic. We all did. I saw it on I don't even get credit for it. I saw it on Twitter, and it's just using chalk and drawing out an obstacle. And I'm going to do this moving forward. This is one that I think is a takeaway from the pandemic. I'm going to buy a bunch of chalk. I'm going to have my students mark some obstacle courses throughout the campus. They can create their own, and everybody can do each other's obstacle course. The students in passing period will see it on the ground, and who knows, maybe they'll do the obstacle course. But this is something I'm going to implement. Remember I said there were positive takeaways from this thing. This is one of them. Now, my two boys are football players. They were doing this. They were gassing. And this is just down my little street. They were gassing. So I am going to do this. Easy. I mean, this literally took me about 2 minutes to draw.
The chalk course is a grind. Oh.
So I'm at a huge campus. We're one of the largest schools in Arizona. So 3,700 students at our school. We have 10 PE teachers, 1,200 freshmen. So we're big. We have lots of space on our campus to draw a chalk course for several. I'm laughing because these two boys were out of shape. I think I'm tired, Mom. I'm tired, Mom. All right. So that's something I'm going to use. Even virtual, I cannot leave a session unless we talk about something new. This is one of my favorite, and I don't think we did this when I was there at Fullerton 2 years ago. This is called Bounce Toss. This is a new activity. I'm going to play it as long as I can until hopefully this pandemic just stays where it is and gets better. If it gets worse, I might not be able to play this. I just want that noted, but I'm going to try because I love this game. This is called Bounce Toss. It's just like Ultimate Frisbee, except I'm using a playground ball that's very, very small. You can bounce it. You can toss it. If you catch it, you can't move or run with it. You just got to keep passing it to get it in the end zone. It's no boundaries, so it could bounce off the walls. And I'm going to let the video speak for itself, but this is my students' funnest game that we play. This is advanced PE, the elite fitness team, but my regular students love this game as well. So you see how little it is. So this is called Bounce Toss. Small round playground balls. You got 2 kids in the end zone only. When they score, they go and get a bean bag. Over here in the center court, here it comes Chewy. He just scored. He's getting a bean bag. And then he's going to put it in the bin over there. They can only have 2 in the end zone at a time. If they go to get a bean bag, someone can sub in. It's a very fast game. Very high cardio. A lot of times I use 2 of these playground balls, but the part that's really cool with it is bouncing it, bounce pass, or throwing it. To score, you can only throw it in, you can't bounce pass it in to score. So if there's questions about that at the end, I'll talk about that, but that is a high cardio, fast-paced game. I hope that I get to do it this year. This is one that we did. We had half the kids were athletes, the other half were PE students. This was this is in May. So towards the end of the pandemic, our cases were dropping. So they were lifting all the mandates. So students at this point, when I played this game, students, the mask mandate was optional. If they wanted to wear a mask, they didn't have to. This soccer ball, you can take off the outer coating and wash it. So we did that. I only used it like 1 class period and then for a day, and then I'd wash it and then do a different class period the next day. So this is human foosball. They had a blast with this, and I just got to a point I thought these kids have got to laugh again. And this did it. So there's sections, just like foosball, if it passed out of your zone, you couldn't touch the ball. You see those cones in there. I pushed the envelope a little bit, as you can see. All right. So there you have it. That's where I want to get back to. I want to get these kids laughing again and having fun and being a kid. I think it made them grow up very fast. You know, I was a latchkey kid growing up. Both my parents worked. My dad was a police officer. My mom worked for Special Olympics. And boy, that is nothing compared to what these kids had to do. They were truly left behind on their own at home. Or back to school, but with all these restrictions. Last year, my high school, we had nothing. We had no dances, no football games, no assemblies, no prom. Everything was stripped from them, and I'm really hoping we can get back, because it did take a toll mentally. I had many students tell me they're not doing well. And like I said, I admit there were days that I didn't do well, because that's not how we're hardwired. We're hardwired to move, to laugh, to have fun, to use equipment, exercise, and we know all the benefits with that. So I put my little A's outfit on because I remember, or not my A's, the Angels, because the Angel Stadium, isn't it right next to Cal Fullerton? And I was so excited to see that when I was there 2 years ago. I even bought an Angels hat. So there we are. I'm done with that. I hope the only thing that I hope I left you with is hope and a way, I guess, a format with a way to look back, refocus, and reboot. It's really important that you guys reboot before you go back, and have some enthusiasm, have some energy, have some hope that we are going in the right direction. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions, but I'm going to let these folks, the pros, lead that.
Let's just thank Maria one more time. What an awesome session this was. Thank you so much.